G'day people, I'm Sharyn and welcome. Today I'm starting to make a cushion cover using my Quilt As You Go squares. The first thing I'm actually going to construct, now that the squares are sewn, is the back of the cushion. Why do I do the back first? Because it's the bit I dislike the most. And if I always leave the bit I dislike until the last, sometimes it doesn't ever get done. In terms of the Quilt As You Go, I created 4 squares that are all the same. You can see them here. I've got them arranged at the moment as being all in the same orientation. There are multiple ways you can arrange 4 squares when they're not symmetrical. So at the moment I've got them all oriented the same way. Another way I can do it is to put these ends of the feather all towards the middle. And that means that going around the outside edge, all 4 of them have got the big parts of the feathers going around the outside of the edge. I can do other things with them as well. I could choose to make them like a checkerboard, where these ones have got the pieces this way and these ones are 180 degrees from them. And this kind of thing especially gives a different effect if you've made a whole quilt. So even though you're doing one single design, you can do lots of different combinations of that design and get entirely different results. You can see here, these 2 are actually mirror images of these 2, and that is quite different effect. I like this. I like playing with designs that I've mirrored, because you can get all sorts of strange things happening that you're not expecting when you do it that way. So these patterns and how they interact with each other interest me. What I've actually decided to do is to take these bottom 2 and put them this way, so that all 4 of these centres are coming together. I think that that suits me for a cushion cover. I like the fact that they're all sort of drawn into the middle where the smallest feathers are, and they go out to the bigger feathers. Having worked out what I'm going to do with this, I'll be able now to trim these pieces and make them smaller, so that I'm only going to have a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch on these ones and these ones when I join them up. So when the 4 are joined together, they're actually going to be a little bit smaller than this. That's important because I want the outside edge to be the same size. And at the moment, if you add a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch, you get an inch in here, but only a 1/2 inch on the outside. I've got my fabric for the back. I've folded it under twice. This is where the underlap is going to be for my zip. I'm going to stitch along the edge with just 1 layer folded under. I'm not doing a normal hem. You'll notice I'm sewing this from the right side, and the reason I do that is it's an awful lot easier to get distracted by a cut edge if you're looking at it than if you're not looking at it. Now you'll notice that the folded edge of the fabric is lined up with that part of the foot. That row of stitching is not terribly important. What it's going to do is to make the edge look better inside, because I'm now going to fold it down and then I'm going to lay the zip underneath it and stitch along the edge. So on the inside it's just going to make the edge a bit nicer. I'm going to put my zip on now, and there are a few things to remember about zips. The first one is that they don't need to be the exact size. This one is actually too big in both directions, and that's fine, I'll cut it off. Nylon zips like this, certainly not the metal teeth ones, but the nylon ones, you can absolutely sew over them. I have pinned this on in the direction that was comfortable for me to do it, and I've just laid it next to the zip. And this is going to decide which side of my zipper foot I'm going to attach. The fabric's going in this way, so I need the foot to be on this side and the teeth on that side. taking off the foot on the machine, I pull the little button at the back towards me. I don't push it away because if I do, I will break it. So I need to have the foot on here so that the place where the teeth go, which is this side, is on the correct side for the way I've got my stitching set up. Provided your machine is electronic, the straight stitch position when you turn it on is probably the right position for the needle for doing zippers. So that needle, if I just hand wind it down, is going to come down in the middle. It's not going to hit the foot. And if I'm running that needle there and I have this edge of the foot right on the edge of the fabric, I will get a nice top stitch along that edge. You'll notice I've got the pins in this way. As a general rule, try very hard to have the pins so that you can just pull them out towards you. Don't have them where they're going in the other direction and you have to try and get them out around of things. So I'm just going to do a straight top stitch to hold this zip in place. Needle down so that things don't move when I am taking that pin out. Here's my overlap piece. It's the same width. In fact, I've taken off the other end of this same piece of fabric and I've folded it over twice. And that is once again to make sure that it's going to look nice on the inside. Not that it really super matters, but that's what we're going to do. This piece has to end up here. And the more I hang it over, the less chance there is of that being visible. So what do? Go to the wrong side and line up the edges of the under piece and the over piece. And what I'm doing is attaching the zip, pinning the zip on so that it's at that folded edge. It's pinned so that the edge of the zip is coming up to that folded edge. When I stitch it, if you look very carefully at zipper tapes, they've got lines on them that the weave is a bit different. What I'm going to try and do is stitch along that line where the weave is different. And to do that, I'm starting at this edge again. So now I need my zipper foot to be on this way so that the teeth are on the left. And I'll keep the edge of the foot on that different piece of the zipper tape. So I'm sewing this from the back and I have, when I put that zip in, I didn't go quite far enough over with that, so the zipper pull is actually a little bit in the way, but it's not going to matter. Needle down and just sewing it and keeping that edge at the edge of the fold. On the right side, that's stitched down and it looks fine. In retrospect, I really should have had my stitch length longer for this. It looks wrong because factories never make anything with a 2.2mm stitch length. The teeth. At the other end though, I really need to get this in there. And if I stitch the whole way across there, I can't. I won't be able to pull it back. But I do want to keep everything nice and neat at this end, so I'm going to do a little bit of stitching down here. So that's a little bit, but it's left me enough space in here that I can pull the zip through. And I'm going to do this from the wrong end. You don't usually sew with all your fabric on this side, but I want to in this case because I know I've got the zip all pulled together at the right spacing here. So it's sewn together here now at the right spacing, and it will sit all nicely the whole way along. So my zip is in, it's caught at each end, and the back is ready for me to just sew on when I work out exactly how big I need this to be. The backing has been made that will easily cover it all, and once I know exactly what size this is going to be, I'll trim this to the same size. I like to have zips in the back of my cushions, and especially I want to have the zipper pull covered. Why? Because I don't want it scratching things if it's up against a wooden chair. Now that I've got the backing done and I've worked out how I'm going to do the front, next week I'm going to finish it off. See you next time.